Hey guys, this is Pearson from Revocation, and I'm here at Drumeo headquarters, and I'm here today to talk to you about ergonomics on the drum set. And the actual definition of ergonomics is relating to or designed for efficiency and comfort at the workplace. So our workplace is the drum set here, so efficiency and comfort should be a main concern of ours when we're setting up the drums. So that could be everything from heights to angles to distance away from you and your stick. I'm telling you, even just the difference of an inch in height can really make or break comfort when it comes to playing for long periods of time on the drum set. I was in a session one time and just playing really hard, molar whipping strokes, backbeat stuff, and just slowly over time, maybe the period of a day or something like that, I was starting to get a little pain in the elbow, and I was hitting the drum, doing a good rim shot pretty well, but it was just that it was about an inch too high, and the shock of my stick hitting the rim was feeding back into my elbow, so I lowered it a little bit and the problem just went away. It's really amazing how little of a change that can make a really big difference, So when I'm sitting down, I start with my seat height. So you might be able to see the angle of my legs from here. I'm trying to sit up as straight as possible usually when I play, but I kind of slouch a little bit. But the legs, instead of being on a perfect 90-degree angle like this, I like them to be a little bit out forward, so you can drive the kick that comes from your center through your leg and out to a pedal. It's like if you were going to shove someone, you wouldn't push them all the way back here. You'd probably want to be something like this, so you could get a little bit of energy, a little bit of build-up before you do a stroke or do a hit or something. There's lots of metaphors that apply to playing drums and to how hits happen and all that stuff. So I'm a little bit back and I'm a little bit high, but I'm not too high and I'm not too far back either, like this, I'm just a little bit on top of it. Next would probably be the snare drum. When I come down on a snare, I like to have it be so comfortable and natural that I can do it with my eyes closed. And for me, it's about a little below my belt level, but that's a good exercise, a good test to see if you got a good height for your snare. Try closing your eyes and just doing a rim shot. That feels pretty good. It feels nice and loose and relaxed, and I'm getting a good snap out of that rim shot. So that's a good way to do it. The bass drum angles, some people like to do it just sort of straight on. They have their bass drum completely flat up against whatever stage they're playing, 90 degrees. I like to have mine a little bit off to the side, 45 degrees, because I like to sit down and I just let my feet sit naturally on the ground, and they take a little bit of this kind of an angle. So I have my pedals kind of set up that way, a little bit angled towards me, my bass drum off to this one side. If I'm playing two bass drums, I just do the same thing. You see lots of guys play with two bass drums like that. Lars from Metallica, you look at some of his old stuff where he's playing two bass drums. They're not both like, center, they're offset a little bit. So that's a comfort thing for me, but everyone's a little different. So check it out, try a few different things and see what works best for you. Next would probably be the hi-hat. I like to have it where it's kind of almost at my elbow level, so when I come down, I can come down just like right on top of it, but then I can also, like lean back a little bit and do some quiet notes if I need to. So just where I can get a good like dynamic range where I can actually work the hi-hat. I don't want to have to be playing it all the way up here, and I don't want it to be so low that if I'm crossing over that I can't do a good snare stroke, So for me, my elbow is a little bit of an indicator. So that's how I like to have my hi-hat set up. My toms, I usually look to pull them a little bit over the lip of the bass drum hoop, just to have it close enough to me, really. I don't want to really have to be reaching for anything, You can take away your sticks and, like, say your ride's all the way out here. Well, just take away a stick and hold your arm there for 5 minutes and see how you feel afterwards. You're not going to feel very good, So you might want to think about pulling some of the stuff a little bit closer towards you, so it's more like you're just working the controls, where you don't have to reach very far to to do anything. So that's the kind of thing I look at when I'm setting up toms and cymbals and stuff. So my tom's pretty close to my snare, a little bit over the hoop edge of my bass drum. My ride, again, I don't want to have to be reaching too far or too high, so I like to have it just kind of right, almost in line with the rack toms. So see, I'm not really having to reach that far to grab any of this stuff, which is great. Same with the floor toms. I want to be able to just to, like, you know, reach over my wrist and make an easy stroke out of it. I don't want it to be too far over here or too low or anything like that. So that's just the way I like to have it set up. So make sure as you go along, do a little test, you know, just see, oh, how does that feel? And pay attention to your body, and you should be able to do it with your eyes closed, really, at the end of the day, is the way I feel about setting up a drum set. You know, you should just be able to visualize where everything is, and it should feel good while you're playing. The cymbals, a little bit higher, but not too high, because if your arms are up like this the whole time, they're above your heart, and your heart needs to work a little bit harder to get blood up to your appendages like this, you know? So if your cymbals are kind of like this, you know, you can hit the edges of them with your sticks. You're not having to go like this or like this for too long of a period of time too. So I like to have them kind of high and kind of close, but not too close and not too high either. And I also watch out for, you know, that they don't hit each other, and I also watch out that they're not hitting any of the mics in the situation where I might be playing live or be at a studio or something like that too. So yeah, sort of close and high up for the cymbals as well. So one final point that I'll make is on the angles in which you have your thing set up. So things like cymbals and toms and snare drum will be particularly important. So especially with the snare drum, and that, especially if you rim shot too, you know, you don't want to have your snare drum too high or too low, or you don't want to have it too flat or, you know, too shallow or anything like that. Because for me, I like to be able to have a good predictable angle where I can dig in the edge of my stick into the rim so I can get a good rim shot, you know. I don't want to have to think about where the edge is, you know. I just want to be able to feel it, I'd say, is the most important thing to keep in mind. Again, close your eyes and see, how does it feel? Same with the toms too, you know. I don't want them to be so low that I can't hit the rim if I don't want to, but I don't want them to be angled so much that I'm only hitting the rim, you know. I want to be able to... So a good distance that you can reach it, but just enough of a balance that you can choose to hit the rim if you want to, but not that it's out of your control as well, you know. And also talking about angles too, you might sometimes see drummers who have their stuff angled so much that they're actually hitting it, they're not hitting it like right on top of it, they're sort of hitting it at an angle. So if this is your tom, for example, they might be hitting the drum like this. So I would recommend to you that you angle your tom in such a way where you're coming down right on top of it and just giving it a good, fair smack right in the middle. Really, it's about getting some good resonance out of the drum, so you're not denting heads and you're not choking out a stroke when you hit it too, you know. So that's another good thing to keep in mind when you're setting up for the angles of your drums. You know, not too much one way or another, because then you'll tend to be out of balance with what it's like to come down and hit a stroke. You know, you want to be able to pull some good tone out of the drum. You don't want to be denting heads and choking out the drum either. So these are all little things in place to help me avoid injury, really, at the end of the day, because if you want to keep doing this well into your later years, you know, you have to start now by not developing any repetitive stress injuries. So that'd be a thing like examining technique. You know, you should have good technique so you don't overwork things like your muscles and your nerves and stuff like that, and to get tendonitis. And then also kit ergonomics goes part and parcel with that as well. So I would encourage you to try a bunch of different things for yourself, and then also look at videos of other people and observe how they might set things up too. I can't tell you how many times I looked at magazines or internet videos, and I'm like really looking at some of my favorite drummers, the angle of his legs in relation to his seat. You know, are his cymbals high or low? Is his snare drum high or low? And all these kinds of things. And I take all that into consideration and just apply it to my own experiments around setting up the drum set. So my drum set and anyone's drum set tends to evolve over the years. You know, you want to add or subtract pieces and stuff like that, or you might want to try something closer or higher and stuff like that. That's all great. It's not like you have to be married to one way of setting up your drums, but these are just little suggestions to help you with setting up your drum set so you can play well into your 80s, 90s, and beyond. So if you like what you saw here, you can click on a link below and get a free 30-day trial of Drumeo. You can also check out my band Revocation on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Happy practicing, and I'll see you out there on the road.